Hi, thanks for joining me. Today I want to show off some Japanese Dreamcast pickups here. I'm going to show off some gameplay for each of these, so let's get started. We have Card of Destiny, Hikari to Yami no Tougousha, which is like the integrator of light and dark. So here's a game developed by Able Incorporated. This happens to be the same developer of Exodus Guilty, which I covered in a previous video and I thought looked very promising. So much so that I got the anime play versions of the games, which I'm still looking forward to playing at some point. But this is apparently billed as a slightly dirty card fantasy RPG. Seems like they were really going for the sexy hook on this one. Being a console game, it's not going to have anything terribly inappropriate. And I think what is more attractive about this is that it seems like a pretty interesting 3D dungeon crawling RPG, which just the idea of something like that on the Dreamcast is pretty exciting. I can't think of anything else on the system that is like that. I'd love to see something well done. This also has a card-based battle system, it seems like. I'm thinking of something like Arcana on the Super Nintendo. So a lot of really attractive elements to this. How they come together, it's a little hard for me to tell from the initial gameplay that I've played through so far. I actually gave this game quite a bit more time than I give some games when I'm trying them out, just because I thought it was so promising. But really, the story so far seemed relatively cliched. At the beginning there you have, it's like this witch who's been imprisoned in a tower, and obviously it seems like you're going to save her. It's kind of this stock fantasy world with, sort of religion and some sort of evil that's rising up, and people are trying to fight it and stuff like that. So really we had just a lot of text to slog through at the beginning of the game, and it's hard for me to tell exactly what the core gameplay is like, but honestly this looks like a pretty promising RPG, 3D RPG on the Dreamcast. Next up we have PuyoPuyo DA by Compile. So here's a game that I didn't quite know what to expect from. I thought that perhaps this was another entry into the PuyoPuyo Falling Blocks style puzzle game series, but instead it seems to be a rhythm game based on characters from PuyoPuyo and the Mado Monogatari series. This is a dance-based rhythm game, and we have seems like some basic controls here: up, down, left, right, and star, I believe, is hitting the trigger on the Dreamcast controller. So I've just had quite a bit of fun with a rhythm game recently, Hatsune Miku Project Diva F on the PlayStation 3. So, definitely interested to check this one out. I'm having quite a bit of trouble hitting the first note, and also just getting the rhythm right. So far it seems extremely consistent, and not necessarily linked up very well with the music. But, certainly this is a game that if you like rhythm games, especially if you're a fan of the PuyoPuyo series, you may want to check this out. Ultimately, I have to admit, it does feel something like a quick cash grab on Compile's part. If you compare release dates, this was released a single year after Dance Dance Revolution, which I believe was quite popular at the time. So a little disappointed in that respect, but still this might be a fun rhythm game for you to check out. The next one is Mary Mae. So of course we can't get through one of these videos without a game by Kindle Imagine Develop. Mary Mae, this is a romance adventure game, and it appears to revolve around a boy who's a junior in high school. And this universe that we're in is kind of this science fiction element where you have humanoid robots. This is similar to the premise of things like Chobits by Clamp. It's a manga and anime series, or other games that we've covered on the Dreamcast like Marionette Company. Here we have kind of a typical setup where a high school student has quite a bit of autonomy. His mother passed away when he was young, his father's away on business, kind of a thing. And from what I read, this seems to be quite well received. It does have, I believe, a couple of sequels. It was released on the PlayStation 2 as well as the Dreamcast. You hear the characters like, huh? Whoa! And it turns out that this robot android girl has climbed into bed with him. And it's interesting to note, you see her hair ornaments here. I had mentioned Chobits before. It looks very similar to that, so I'd have to check the dates. I'm not sure which one may have influenced the other, but it does seem to be a common theme between the two. And here you are, you're out doing some shopping. Seems like you're running into maybe a childhood friend. Honestly, I don't know if it was just the reading level or the events that happened in the beginning of the game. It hasn't really gripped me so far. A little bit disappointed with this, you know, as much as I've played, but just reading online, it seems like it's rather well received. So this could be a good romantic adventure game to check out on the Dreamcast. Next up is Dejiko no MaiBura, which I believe stands for My Browser. So as you guys may know, I am something of a DigiCarrot fan, and you know, in fact, I actually recently got the, I believe it's the DigiCarrot Neo, like holiday specials they released on a single DVD. I just watched the Christmas special in keeping with the season. Honestly, it was, you know, some fart jokes is about as sophisticated as it got. It was pretty funny though. She's like, I'm gonna working hard again today. Good grief. So she's like, I'm from DigiCarrot. My name is Dejiko. It's like, do you want to hear more of a self-introduction? You're like, sure. So, my birthday is February, maybe 20th. She gives her height in with her cat ears and what her blood type is, which I believe is O. So, anyway, so you know, this is mostly an internet disc. In fact, you know, from what I know, it may strictly be a web browser. It's easy to forget that the internet was pretty new when the Dreamcast first came out. In fact, the Dreamcast may have been the first device that was essentially a computer with internet access that some people had. So here we have the staff roll. I think that this was you know, kind of how people envisioned the web being used in whenever this came out, 1999 or 2000, sometime around in there. You know, without actually hooking this up to the internet, it seems like the main feature of this is just listening to some voice clips from the voice actresses. So, not as much of a game out of this. It's more of just a little piece of video gaming history, but still I'm very glad to have Dejiko's My Browser. So that's what kind of girl she is. Continuing on, we have Napple Tale, Arsia in Daydream. So here's a game that looks very promising. You don't have a lot of kind of 3D action titles that weren't localized for the West from Japan. You'll notice a lot of the games that I cover are things like adventure games and simulation and various miscellaneous genres, because, you know, we got a lot of the really kind of action heavy and RPG style games, and this is one of the you know, what I would assume is a criminal omission. It seems like a pretty interesting game. Unfortunately, you know, at the beginning here, I did end up playing a lot of this game, trying to really get to the core gameplay and see what it was like, and there are a lot of cutscenes. It's rather long-winded, but you can see that it has a very nice, you know, art style. It's quite whimsical. And from what I read, it was actually an all-female staff that worked on this, which I find very interesting. Additionally, the music was composed by Yoko Kanno, a very famous composer, especially for various anime series, things like Macross Plus, The Vision of Escaflowne, which this music reminds me of somewhat. Here we can see some of the gameplay. And this is very like action platformy 3D. From what I read, it's somewhat similar to Klonoa. It's a game that I have not played, but we were basically treated to an opening cinematic, which was a little disappointing. I think it served to show off the the good music, but it was mostly told via still images that I thought could have been done maybe better with some in-game cutscenes. But we find out that this girl, she goes to a festival and she sees this flash of light, and then she ends up in this world. This is actually a god of death here that she's hanging out with. So I don't know if this is some sort of an afterlife, but basically we start in this hub city, and we can go to various levels themed on the seasons, so I'm very interested to see how this game plays out. Finally, we have Himitsu, Dare ga ita Natsu, or Secret, a summer with someone. So I have to say, out of all of the games that I've gone over in this video so far, this one is the one that it really is the most accessible for me, and I think the one that I'm most interested in. You know, I had high hopes for Napple Tale, but it really wasn't quite what I was expecting, and you know, some of the other ones just seemed a little harder to get into. They really took their time getting going, but this one, it jumps right in. So, you know, here we have the main character. They're like, you know, it's been a long time since I've smiled and laughed. And it's like, you know, sometimes with friends I've laughed, but you know, really from the bottom of my heart, you know, they have this kind of melancholy, and they're like, on that day, we have this flashback here. She's like, you know, I promise. It's like, you have to come. I'll be waiting. So, you know, this is a theme that we see in a lot of these games, I think, but here it seems apparent that something has interrupted the meeting of these two. It's like, I will wait forever. So, it's unclear whether this girl, you know, died or exactly what happened, but it's clear that it was a very traumatic experience for our main character. But we actually start off where we're waking up and checking our email. Again, you know, the Dreamcast was around kind of in the early days of the internet. This was a very novel thing. And we get some interesting, like, expositionary text here in the emails. We get to find out what's going on. So she's like, oh, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again. It's like, have we all, you know, really grown up into adults? And it's been 8 years since, she's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to remember everybody's face. So, so they're having a reunion. This is actually, you know, people that went to grade school together, and after high school, it seems like they're going to have a camping trip. The previous email was a girl reminding him to, you know, what sort of stuff to bring and all that sort of thing. So here he's meeting this girl who had sent him the email we were looking at earlier. She's like, oh, it's been a long time. And, you know, this just seems like a really interesting premise. The spine card actually has kind of an ominous message. It says the sleeping girl. It's like a Pandora's box that must not be opened. So I don't know exactly what the nature of the story is in this, but it seems very interesting, and I'm really curious to see more of Secret. So those are my Japanese Dreamcast pickups this time. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing those, and I hope that you'll join me again for more Japanese video gaming related videos. Thank you so much for watching.